First, let me thank you all for being out here today. We really appreciate all the support that we're receiving from law enforcement, from the mayor, from all the community that has come to support us. This morning, we received news that there was a fire at the masjid, which is the mosque. That word was received about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we have received confirmation that it is an arson incident. It is an incident that was intentionally set this morning. Now, that crime scene is still being processed, and we are working with law enforcement to find out exactly what happened, and we will get the information as the day goes on, and unfortunately, once that evidence is processed, we'll get even more. We're here today because of unity, because it is important to talk about support and standing there for each other. The community, because of current events, has fears that this may be a hate-related incident. But I want to make sure we talk about that message of togetherness, that message of why we're here and why it's more important to stand together than to let an incident like this tear apart, especially when we don't even know what the motive is. So again, thank you all for being out here today. You're going to hear from a couple people about what's going on and how we feel and really what makes Tampa Bay the amazing community that it is. So thank you again for being here today. And with that, I'm going to introduce Mayor Bob Bockhorn. Thank you for being here, sir.
Yep. First of all, assalamu alaikum
Salam.
to our Muslim friends and neighbors and brothers and sisters and community members. I am here for a very simple reason, and that is to let our Muslim friends know that this community stands in solidarity with them. That whatever happened here, and we don't know, and I have the utmost confidence in ATF and the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, that we will determine what happened here. But we do know that it was an arson. And we do know that a house of worship was targeted. This is no different than the wave of anti-Semitic attacks on Jewish community centers and synagogues and bomb threats that have been called in all across the country, including in Tampa, over the recent months. This is a community that celebrates the diversity of this amazing place, the plethora of religions, the gods that we worship. This is a community that will never demonize anybody for any reason. And so we stand together as a community. I may be the mayor, but there are tens of thousands of Tampanians who do not happen to be Muslim, but today stand with our Muslim community and say, not on my watch, not in my city. We will not tolerate this. We will stand up in the face of opposition. We will stand up in the face of anybody who would choose to demonize anybody for any reason, specifically and directly because of their religion. This is America, our America, their America. We don't tolerate that. So whatever occurred here, we will find out. The perpetrator will be punished. But we cannot allow as a community anybody to be victimized, to feel vulnerable, to be attacked for any reason, whether rhetorically, whether it's through a presidential order, whether it's an arson, whether it's a hate crime, whether you're Jewish, Muslim, or Catholic. We stand in solidarity with all of the members of this community because ultimately they are Tampanians first, they are Americans, and as Americans, we stand together. So let's figure out who did this, but most importantly, let's support our Muslim friends and neighbors in this community.
I would like to announce Brother Mazen Bongdaji. He's one of the board members here at the mosque.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Mazen Bongdaji. First of all, I want to thank everybody, and especially Mayor Bob Bockhorn, for coming here for solidarity with us. We are here, place of worship, our place called Dar as-Salam, the House of Peace. And whoever did this maybe intended to discourage us, not to be or to isolate us, not to be part of this community. But what happened, this makes us much stronger than before, than ever, because the huge amount of support and solidarity came and we are receiving through social media, through presence, and from neighboring, from interfaith, from everybody. And I want to thank everybody came, law enforcement, Mayor Bob Bockhorn, and we are waiting for whatever the outcome of the investigations. But this shouldn't leave us or make us weaker than before. We are part of this community and we will still and will stay. Thank you very much. I introduce Mr. Adil, or Adil, please.
Hi, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. As a member of this community and at the nation, looking at the narrative, you hear so much fear, but the story here is the love overcoming fear, and the enormous outpouring of support, emotional support, phones, texts, emails. What can we do? The fact that the mayor is here within hours, you understand the priorities of this city, and we're just so happy with the support that we've received. And I just want to make sure that message rang out real loud and clear, that we understand Tampanians, we understand we're part of the city and the fabric of this country, and we're happy to be here and happy with the support. Thank you much.
I would like to introduce Rasha Mubarak, our regional coordinator in Orlando.
It's Rasha Mubarak, Rasha MUB as in boy, ARAK. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for being here today. First and foremost, we thank you so much, Mayor Bob Buckhorn, for coming out on such short notice. And we also want to extend that gratitude to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office for such a rapid and successful response, and to our leadership at this masjid. We are proud of you, and we stand with you, and you guys are paving the way for not just the Muslim community, but the other marginalized communities. As we have seen in the historic past, that there is so much power in pain. And today, that's just a revelation of the power and compassion and love that we will contribute and continue to extend to not just the Muslim community, but any community member that's facing any kind of discrimination. We also want to continue to understand why this happens, who to hold accountable, like the mayor mentioned. We will continue to fight, but fight with words of love and compassion. And if you do have any further questions, I will be free to talk about any statistics of the climate of Islamophobia. And it's really important to understand that with the recent rhetoric, not just against the Muslim community, but other marginalized communities like the Jewish community, we stood in solidarity across the nation. As their cemetery was destroyed, the Muslim community raised over $120,000. That is true solidarity. That's true spirituality in any faith. And something that Islam teaches us is that there's rahmah, which is mercy, that there's mercy in everything, and we will continue to find that mercy. Thank you.
And one last point, a lot of our allies have reached out to us, and we're very grateful, and thank you all for doing that. Tonight, outside this mosque right up here, at 7 o'clock, we're going to have a solidarity gathering for all our allies, friends, and anyone who has questions or just wants to meet the community to come. 7 o'clock outside this mosque here. Thank you.
Could you talk about the investigation itself? What leads you to believe that this was arson? I don't know, Mayor, if you want to talk about this, or a member of CAIR, it's all up to you. I'm just wondering what led you to believe that this is arson. Is this coming from Hillsborough County Fire?
We talked to the marshal's office this morning and throughout the investigation. What we do know right now is that the fire was set right outside the door here. You can see behind us. They're collecting evidence to find out exactly what's the accelerant, what exactly was caused the fire itself. But it was intentional, is what we have gotten confirmed with. It was an intentionally set fire. And that's what we're looking now to find more evidence of who was responsible for it and what exactly they caused the fire.
Surveillance cameras as well. Did they capture anything?
We are still investigating that. That has been taken as into evidence. And like I said, as soon as we get more information, we will certainly keep the communities informed as to what we're finding. And like I said, they're working diligently since 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock this morning.
So there were some holes in the there were holes in the door, and there was some rumors that they were bullets. Can you confirm?
Correct. There were marks. There were 3 specific marks on the door. Those were, at this time, from talking to the lead investigator, there's no signs that those were from a firearm. It was likely caused by the fire itself or something else, and they're still trying to determine exactly, but there is no evidence that that was made with a firearm.
Sorry, just to follow up on the security cameras, so you can confirm that they were in fact recording and working at the time?
I can only confirm right now that there are security cameras and that there is footage that they're trying to retrieve. There was a lot of water that was taken inside the building, so what exactly is recoverable, we don't know just yet.
Can you talk to me about the front access gate security? It's my understanding that that was just starting. It was kind of a new measure the last 3 or 4 months that the mosque was using.
They're asking about the gate security up front. Do you have information of where you're at or whether you're making
Yeah, we are using it. Usually we close the gate. We have the main entrance here, the gate. We lock it every night after the last ceremony we do at 8:30 at night p.m. and we open it again in the morning. This morning when this happened, the gate was locked. And whoever came from somewhere else, maybe from around or jumped over the fence. We're still waiting for investigation to tell us.
But is that security measure up front rather new? The last
It's
3 or
not
4
new,
months?
no. Been here 6 years since the masjid, since the mosque. I mean, been here for 6 or 7 years.
Are there any efforts to increase security in any
Yes.
ways? Or have you talked about that? And what have you
Yeah,
discussed?
we've been doing that. Even, matter of fact, they couldn't break the glass on that door. They tried to push maybe the fire inside the mosque, but they did not succeed. You can see the way they tried to break the windows or the glass, and the glass stayed solid. They made only caused like some holes, different, and we don't know is it a bullet or a stick or whatever it is. But we used the measurements and we enforced those glass. That's one of the good things we did. We are taking all precautions. I mean, because the last things we see and we hear, we see like, I mean, we were expecting, sorry about that. We were expecting, from what we saw, in different areas, different states, or like synagogues or churches or cemeteries were been vandalized or attacked. So as a place of worship, as what's going on, we thought about taking more extra measures, and we did.
Have there been any recent threats, phone calls, emails?
No recent, I'm sorry. No, to my knowledge, we didn't receive anything or any threats, except what sometimes you see on social media or maybe in the media, or, the hatred speech usually, I think that ignites some of those individuals who they are like witches. They hurt anybody. The hurt speech, the hatred speech, I think that creates such environment. So that will not discourage us or bring us back, to what we are doing part of this community.
How many people usually come here? How many people?
The community, I think, ranges about 500.
About 300-400. And on Friday, like today, it's a major day for us. At 1 o'clock, it's our major prayer. We expected to have 400 people. Now we won't be able to use the mosque for maybe a week or more. Now we have to send our people to go to other masajid or mosques around the city.
We should mention the church
And yes, so now, we are waiting and see the investigation and to see what the next step to do to clean up the place and to use it again.
Forgive me for not knowing, but you said this is a major day for you. Is this a day of religious
Every Friday.
significance?
Every Friday. It's like a Sunday for Christian and Saturday for Jews. Friday is for Muslim. At 1 o'clock, where the main prayer, 1:30, and where all families, children, women come to here and practice their religion. Like any other worship. Place of worship. That's what I would say.
Do you have any thoughts on whether or not this was targeted specifically because of that? Because this was going to be a big day for you, as history shown, based on other attacks on the mosque and other locations, that they choose to target at this time?
Again, I want to say it's really early on in the investigation. They said the community their fear is that this may be hate related, but again, it's really premature to say what it is or what it isn't. We know what's going on out in the community. We know that there's a pattern of intolerance going on. However, we're seeing more support and more coming together as a community throughout the country, not just within Tampa Bay. Like I said, it's amazing to have the mayor here, but it really is how we're standing together in light of these events, whether they're hate-related or a mere crime, or whether this is just a mere arson perpetrated by anybody. The fact that we stand together when our houses of worship are attacked is really what's important, and regardless of what the motivation may be.
What is your message if you could be face-to-face with a person or persons who did this? What would you say to them? What's your message?
You know, I think whether we're talking mosques, schools, cemeteries, whatever that may be, when you're attacking some place that is meaningful and has value to the people around it, the message is why? Why would you cause such fear, and why would you cause such, you know, disruption to the lives of so many people? It's unnecessary. And if they're really good human beings, they would come forward and just turn themselves in, because they're responsible for this damage. And
speaking of turning themselves in, you guys are offering a reward?
correct. I have to get confirmation of exactly what we're offering, but there will be an award offered. There'll be a press release or announcement officially made, and then we'll, you know, kind of give that forward.
Has this location, just curious, ever been the subject of a hate crime or suspected hate crime in the past?
I know from working with this community very closely, we not have.
Never been like threatened or, but I don't know, maybe because sometimes the location may be a little bit out of inhabit, or like maybe that's maybe encouraging others or somebody. But whoever did it, I think they have issue with themselves to, you know, divide the community, which they will not succeed.
Two questions. In terms of the damage done inside, we know the sprinklers were cut on because of the fire alarm. Can you talk about an estimate? I know that you'll have to have an adjuster come in, that type of thing, but can you give us a rough estimate on how much damage? And the second thing is
I think it's gonna be a little premature to get an estimate. I know there is water damage from the sprinklers.
How much water damage then, can you tell us? And how much of the mosque was damaged?
I believe, again, and I don't have the specific information, we'll have to get someone to come in, but it was on this side of the mosque, the sprinklers turned on there. How far into the building, but I know we're mostly focusing on damage to this side of the building.
And is that typically the place of worship, or is it the entire building itself?
It's kind of interesting. It's actually a great opportunity to talk about interfaith. When we have mosques, you actually have two entrances, and then what we have here is the men's side of the mosque.
Just keep talking indirectly.
Sure. Yep. So that was the men's side of the mosque that had the fire started on that side. The other side's the women's, and then the place of worship's actually in the middle where they come together.
And finally, my final question for you: the anti-Semitic message that's out there. I mean, there's a lot of tweets going on now where people are asking for Donald Trump to condone this, if indeed it is a hate crime. I mean, what's the message from CAIR Florida moving forward in something like this and preventing something like this from happening?
Absolutely. We do call on elected officials, our president, because the community follows the lead of their elected officials. And as a community leader, there comes responsibility. Whether through your language or your messages, it can potentially give the green light to harm others. And we say harm others, we're not just talking about the Muslim community, just the Jewish community, any marginalized community, but sometimes even mistakenly recognized as one, as we've seen that possibly happened in Kansas to an Indian individual that was shot dead. So these are all possible hate crimes that are being investigated. So we strongly and encourage all elected officials and our President of the United States of America to take a stance and to stand in solidarity of all communities, the Muslim community, the Jewish community, and any marginalized community that is facing any kind of discrimination right now.